Okay, December 7th, broadband meeting. We don't have a quorum, so we can't approve any old minutes. Carlos not feeling well. I let Larry know, but he had doctor's appointments, and I think Richard might be traveling somewhere. So that's the update on where everybody is. We can jump right to a quick post-mortem about the Connect the Ready grants. I'm sure you saw it too, Marcy, but nobody in this group was successful, which a little surprised that Dresden didn't get approved, but after looking at, the ones that did get conditional approval, Orland between Ellsworth and Bucksport was the closest similarity that I could find to any groups that we had. Otherwise, they were pretty desolate rural areas.
Have you talked to Dresden?
A little bit, yep. What do you wanna know?
What are they gonna do?
Same thing we're doing. Waiting.
I think.
So the county still has.
What's disconcerting, I guess, is that, I mean, I get it that MCA wants to fund some of the areas in the county and so on that are really super rural and have nothing. However, we won't qualify, none of us, for BEAD, and we're where the population centers are. So it's a little, it's a little backwards thinking, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I think that they're looking, trying to see how the impact of the BEAD funding will go, and I think that was part of their strategic thinking. That's my best guess on places that they thought this money could go further, and then with the BEAD money. So last I heard, it was something about 50,000 unserved homes left in Maine and like 60,000 underserved. So that was, I think, some of the totals at the broadband summit. So with our group for Wiscasset, the county, Lincoln County, unfortunately for you guys, has about 1.4 million. So talking to Carrie, the county administrator, the other day, me and Mary Ellen had a brief discussion with her about in January, starting up conversations with higher ups at Consolidated to be like, okay, what's it gonna take to fill in the western part of the county? So Wiscasset, Dresden, Westport, Edgecombe, Booth Bay Harbor, Southport, and then Whitefield and Waldoboro are the two kickers for the rest of the county that doesn't have a significant fiber presence. So we wait for that. On this other side, for everybody, for Bath and Woolwich, the BEAD, the state has, and we've talked about this or read about it, the state has a initiated challenge process that they're starting in March, April. There's different things you can and can't do, and I don't have it right in front of me, and I don't think they've cemented the rules yet, but I think to do challenges for I don't think you can challenge whether a location exists or not, which is a pain because we always find a place that's not on the map. And either a organization, like probably our regional partnership, have to be the ones that initiate different challenges, but the way that speeds are challenged by the technology. So if you have cable, the cable definition by the state is they say it consistently delivers 100/20. If you say you never get that, then there's a speed challenge process where you have to take a speed test 3 different times a day on their platform, and then you can basically be readdressed that you're non-served, but it seems like a fairly cumbersome process to get that changed, and that's for the FCC map. So MCA's initiating all of that to help with the BEAD framework. That's kind of the update on that.
So we wouldn't qualify for that either.
No, some locations will. It's any place that doesn't have cable.
So, Evan, I was just thinking, I'm sorry, going down a scroll, but, so I used to work in Vermont, and one of the things that Vermont did that I thought was incredibly, forward thinking was they had enabling legislation that basically allowed communities to easily create broadband utility districts.
Yep.
The state of Maine didn't do that. So that they can create utility districts, but the actual legislation is really geared towards like sewer and water
Yep.
and or electrical. So it's kind of hard anyways. But what I'm finding out, Licking County is actually fairly progressive in that they have a planning department. Most of the RPCs and the COGs in the state are actually separate nonprofits. They're not within the county form of government.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting to me to think that that the county administrator and the executive director of the planning commission is, they talk to each other on a regular basis. Anyways, to make that connection is, you're just talking about maybe doing the western half of the county. And I know MCA has kind of been pushing the utility district idea. What if we just put out an RFP for the whole Licking County? We just said to Fidium, said, what, how much will it cost to do the county, fill the gaps,
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's basically what we're talking about, minus the broadband utility district part.
Yeah.
And the only, other than not doing it for the whole county, the whole middle is completely controlled by another company.
Okay,
So Damerscott, Newcastle, Bristol, South Bristol, Bremen, and Jefferson, portions of, Noblesboro, and then a good portion of Waldeboro is covered by LCI, which is Tidewater Telephone.
but what if we said to both of them, come in with a proposal?
So LCI just got involved with an FCC program. So they're getting paid, they're getting $18 million to build the rest of their network, and they've taken themselves out of consideration for any new grants. So they're basically completely off the table. They're, you're familiar with ILEC territories?
No.
So ILEC is an acronym for Incumbent Local Exchange Carrier. So when they initially broke up all of the phone companies, Tidewater's ILEC territory are those towns that I just mentioned. So they're getting tons of grant money, so they'll be just about completely over. Maybe there'll be some small areas where they ask for some funding, but other than that, they're preempted based on their new FCC enhanced ACAM funding that they've signed up for. But yeah, otherwise, that's what we're doing for the rest of the areas that are all in consolidated TILAC, with the county trying to leverage that 1.4.
Are you just talking about doing the areas that,
The whole thing,
the
everybody,
whole thing,
yeah.
or not just the areas that don't have it coverage?
All those, so what the towns that I mentioned are areas that, so Wiscasset's got maybe 2 or 3 houses that supposedly have fiber, Woolwich maybe 1. Dresden had the library and that's it. Whitefield, same, nothing there. Westport's got a couple dozen that are.
Well, let me try to understand this. So there's a difference between fiber and high-speed internet. So a lot of the town's existing network isn't on fiber, it's on regular copper.
Yeah.
The backbone from the central office to like these slick sites are, these little boxes on the side of the road are fiber. But some towns are actually, and like what I understand is like Fidium, there's what they call fiber to the home, it's actual fiber to the home.
Right. That's what we're after.
So are any of these towns actually have fiber to the home?
Newcastle, Damerscott, Noblesboro, Jefferson, Bristol, South Bristol.
So those are that other.
Yeah. Those are all LCI fiber to the home.
Okay,
And so and then Bath is all go net speed.
okay, so for us then it sounds like we've given up on the fiber to the home, we're just gonna try and get,
No, that's exactly what we're doing.
We
So
have, no.
oh,
Consolidated is Fidium, which is fiber,
yeah, I knew that.
right?
So, but we're only gonna focus on the areas that don't have coverage.
But when you say full coverage, I'm saying the entire municipal boundary of Wiscasset, the entire municipal boundary of Dresden, every single one of those towns, not,
They don't have internet coverage, period.
they have,
Not,
we have, all these towns have spectrum, but not everybody's hooked up.
yeah,
Most people in Wiscasset, I think it's like 60 buildings don't have cable hookup.
okay, so we're not
True
actually gonna be putting fiber to the home to like the majority of the town, just only like to those 60.
No, when it happens, it'll be blanket 100%, or not 100%, but universal fiber to the home.
Okay, that's good, I just wanna make sure I understand what's.
Yep, yep. So that's the idea, is to get universal fiber access to everybody, and basically we're like the last town on Route 1 that's between Kittery and Ellsworth that doesn't have a fiber to the home network covering the majority of the town.
Really? Whoa, that's.
And Woolwich, that's why you're in our group, that's why you're here. So,
And a big chunk of Bath, and a big chunk of Bath. Don't
big
forget
chunk
big
of Bath, which is where Marcy lives. So that's where we all started working together, was because this is the sandwich area that hasn't gotten hit yet.
Okay. Has the county thought about, paying for some of it, like, in other words, leveraging their capacity to borrow?
I don't think they're interested in borrowing, but they allocated 1.5 million from their ARPA funds for this, initially for match for grants.
Okay.
And then that, yeah, we kicked down the road pretty far, as I think you guys did in Wayne with Mark, and tried to suss out if Dresden, Woolwich, and Wiscasset could all be in one broadband utility district and be municipally funded own system, and whatever the final cost for Wiscasset was, 3.9 or more million, we.
That's double what we
At that,
anticipated.
right, at that point, we assumed that we would need we needed 1.3 million at the first application to get the minimum, which was $700 a house, and, judging how it went after that, we realized we would need at least 2.4 million just for Wiscasset,
Yeah, double.
so. Right now, the focus is on the private route, because there was no interest in going any further in that
Yeah, that
direction,
makes sense, okay.
yeah. And then similarly for Woolwich, the numbers weren't too different, and then Dresden was a little less expensive, but they had a lot more areas. And then the problem here compared to other areas was still competing directly with Spectrum, which was the part that people.
But I mentioned with you, in that meeting with Dennis, is there still any thought that we wanna maybe bring Spectrum to the table? You know,
I think the only way that we bring them to the table in the way that benefits us is sometime after this calendar year to renegotiate a new cable franchise agreement, which there isn't too much to change, and the places that aren't hooked up now wouldn't change probably in any new franchise agreement. But when I did this with Damascotta and Newcastle, we talked to Spectrum, and with just about every other town in the state, they're either non-responsive or not interested in doing what they're saying, or they'll promise the world and then deliver nothing. So it's,
I just know in Wayne that they finally came to the table with a
Yeah.
proposal.
yeah, and Wiscasset, they cover most everybody, and some people get really good speeds with them, and some people get mediocre speeds, so. Just as much the idea is to leapfrog them, it's just as much to have a choice between two providers.
Well, yeah, that's totally.
And when you have more than a couple of people in your household trying to do stuff, it's very difficult to get everybody.
Yeah.
I think during the pandemic, kids had to go to.
I just want to say, I think from our perspective and a lot of what we had talked about in the past is that, cable's fine for now, for the most part, but it's not going to be fine forever. And it's not going to be fine in the short term. It's not going to provide enough bandwidth for what people are going to need to do for telehealth and other things. So that's why we've been really all advocating for fiber for all of the towns.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, but I think, I have to double check, but I think they were offering fiber. I don't have to double check, but,
Spectrum,
yeah,
they've done it in a very few limited places, and, east side of Westport did business with them, they, back before Maine Connectivity Authority, when it was still Connect Maine, Westport came with $60,000. They won a grant with Spectrum with Connect Maine, and then Spectrum didn't want to participate in the, reporting requirements, so they said, cool, we'll do it on our own. And they've labeled a lot of their stuff fiber, but in reality, there's maybe 10 homes that can get symmetrical upload speeds. Otherwise, they only get the same cable speeds that anybody ever got, up to 30. So they still, yeah.
the Comcast market's 100 over 100, but I think
Right.
they're full.
I'd like to see that.
The other problem too, I mean, one of the things that we were really concerned about Spectrum was that I believe that FCC is gonna be lifting the cap, the data cap limit. Do you know about that?
Yeah, that might happen, yeah.
That's gonna be coming soon.
Which is probably good for places like us, but,
No, it's gonna be horrible, because that was one of the ways that pushed us into the municipally owned marketplace, because of municipally owned network, the fiber home network, because the data caps, if once they,
I thought you were referring to the definition of unserved speed, that's what I thought.
no, because that, once they, the FCC, allowed the cable companies to start charging, it was gonna be, basically, as you know, cable is going by the wayside. The regular basic old fashioned cable, TV, so all the streaming services that they're pushing, people are gonna be using their data like crazy. And, so they're gonna start charging you, by the amount of data you use.
They
Anyways,
already have, they're putting in ads, and if you wanna,
well, right now, it's kind of,
another $10 a month, if you don't want ads. Every thing.
anyways, I'm sorry, I got.
No, that's okay. So yeah, it's, in general, we're in a holding pattern, wait until the new year.
So how much is, CCI putting into, I assume it's CCI into Orland?
Orland,
They got the grant.
Yeah, I
They're
don't know.
saying if it's similar to us,
it's not similar to us, cause their situation was they had like 3/4 of their town was unserved, and it was like
Oh.
700 customers, so those were all just gonna be automatic signups for the most part, probably 80% of them would just sign up.
that would make it difficult for CCI.
Yeah,
to-
but as I said a few months ago, they were hooking up, contractors were hooking up the Wiscasset Central Office to the Booth Bay Central Office, so I think that they're positioning themselves to do something. And talking with Carrie and Mary Ellen, we want to make sure that places like Dresden and outskirts of Wiscasset are included in that. When they go and connect everything, because basically with Booth Bay, Harbor, Westport, they'll have to pay everything cash right out the door, and that basically goes for Wiscasset too. No matter what funding comes along from here on out, they'll have to pay retail value to hook that up. There's almost no grant money available for any of it because it's less than 5% are unserved. 5% isn't the rule, but just to give you a picture of how many locations there actually are. She made a spreadsheet about that the other day. But Booth Bay's got a significant, and Edgecombe have a slightly significant amount of unserved, and then obviously Dresden, so. For Dresden, they might try and really, wait out the BEAD funds and see how much they can get out of it. So that's kind of the roadmap for what's going on there.
What's the next MCA grant program look like? Do we know that?
Which one?
And any infrastructure grants?
They pretty much completely expended on stuff other than what's gonna get returned, whether or not these LCI contracts get returned, and if, the Spectrum one, if Spectrum finally opts into that 6.8 million job or not. So, no one
Guess
knows about,
essentially it's BEAD is the next grant program for big infrastructure grants, is that correct?
yeah, but with this, what I was just telling to Tommy, it's, MCA's probably got 9 to 10 million that didn't get allocated, that probably isn't going to get allocated depending on what happens. So there's some issues with some LCI projects and there's some issues with the Spectrum line extension program, so I don't think either of them have been executed contracts.
Well, we can take the 9 million.
Yeah, we could take the 9 million, 100%. I'm with you on that one.
That'll cover Bath and Bethesda and Lodge and Wisconsin, and
Yep.
change to spare.
Well, that's not entirely silly what you're saying. And going back to what I said earlier, which is, I understand MCA's need and desire to fund areas where there's nothing. But when they, like, for example, when they allowed Go NetSpeed to come to Bath and to partially build in Bath and to leave 600 households out of Bath, they left us as a desert where no one wants to come. And similarly, I mean, it's possible that what we should be doing is, as the mid-coast towns, going to MCA as a group and saying, how can we fund this? Because we're where the population centers are. This is the coastal communities that are being left out in the cold. And I feel like there could be strength in a collaboration to say, guys, how can you fund the mid-coast?
It's worth a discussion. When we didn't get funded, we arranged a meeting, with Mark and our consultant Brian and, a couple of people at MCA. But I have to tell you, that meeting was pretty infuriating. They were telling us like two different things, they were kind of placating to us, but then also telling us they're lying too, so. But it's definitely worth it. I think you can benefit from it, maybe arranging a meeting. The feeling I get during most MCA meetings, it's just this.
It's been more or less the floor.
So did that, none of that get put in the grant
No.
application? No.
Yeah, consolidated, Marcy consolidated, then you put in a grant, right?
They didn't put in a grant for us because we knew we weren't going to qualify
Yeah.
as 600 homes. When, part of the town is covered, so they didn't.
Yeah. And some updates with that is, Go NetSpeed has become the new, like you were talking, the new desert maker, because they're now overbuilding. In Rockland, they're now the third fiber provider, as well as cable in the downtown area, and they're overbuilding in places where Consolidated is, but yet they won't go to North Bath and their other areas. They won't just fill in the gaps. So it's just like, it's insane that they're celebrating not doing it all privately and not going after any taxpayer money, and then they won't even fill in gaps where they're creating a bigger problem.
Right, and then the other thing is that because Comcast got a Reach Me grant for a few in Bath that were the unserved homes in Bath, they're that contract has not been signed, even though it was awarded in April, so we're still waiting, but theoretically, the 34 homes in Bath that only have Elon Musk's Starlink right now will get connected to Comcast, but by MCA awarding that Reach Me grant in Woolwich and in Bath and in the 20 other towns, they basically sucked up all the unserved that made it any chance that those deserts would get some kind of fiber service.
My understanding though was that since they haven't signed the contract, that those locations are not considered to have been fixed.
Well, not
It's-
yet, but they will be. I mean,
But
assuming
in
that-
terms of this grant round that we lost, I don't think those homes
Mm,
being done by Comcast was considered,
uh-huh, I see.
at least according to MCA.
Mhm. I don't know the answer. It's a good question.
I did reach out to Comcast last Friday, I haven't heard back yet.
Mhm. Well, we reached out to MCA and they're still messing around with the contract, so they haven't made much progress, it seems.
Who messing around, oh, with Comcast's contract?
We're still messing around with all of the Reach Me grant contracts, because they're trying to do one contract that serves all the different providers.
So then that can lead us right into our remaining get ready funds. So Tommy reached out to, Kendra Joe, took a long time to get a response, but we finally heard back that no, public Wi-Fi is not an eligible use. I sent her a note today and she said a meeting owl would be a use for improving whatever public communication. And other than that, what I'm looking at for our groups is, digital equity implementation. So there's two groups, obviously we know about the National Digital Equity Center. They do some in-person classes in some areas and they do online classes everywhere that anybody can join, but there's another group called Boomer Tech Adventures that, so with the regional group that I'm working with, they've been creating programs for the adult eds, and then they've reached out to this Boomer Tech Adventure group, which is 3 people out of Brunswick, Freeport area that do classes. So we're having a Zoom meeting with them to see what they would like to do, because they want to do business with the county, but also, well, the counties. But if our 3 towns want to fund something, or 2 or 3 or 4 with Bath too, I think it's worth kicking around to offer classes. If that's the only other option, then giving the money back to the state.
What's the magnitude of like throwing some classes together, you know, how much you're talking about?
I don't know. I think if we look at, no, probably more than that, depending on what they really offer. But I think if you think about like 5,000 a piece, then if we get like a year's worth of quite a few classes, then it's not a bad
Really
deal.
get a proposal fast.
Go ahead, Marcy.
Couple comments. One, I don't know if any of you were on that call last week about the hubs.
Right. That
Um,
was, I heard a pretty big breakdown of it.
So they, basically, there's a grant program for places that are considered hubs, like libraries, et cetera, that are doing education, offering a place, a private place for telehealth, and I forget what the third criteria is. And I can send you the slide deck if you didn't attend that. But maybe that's an opportunity that ties into what you're talking about, to sort of be
Yeah,
a,
we were discussing that with our group, and I think the Dresden's the place that's most interested in it. The biggest drawbacks are they'll give you grant money for a building. There's something like $11 million available for, and I think they're aiming to do 16 to 20 grants for these connectivity hubs, and they want them to be built in places that don't have much opportunity. But the drawback is it has to be funded and staffed for 5 years, so finding a organization or governmental unit that wants to do it is tough. But Dresden, I don't know if you know this, Marcy, they had a gift left to them by a person who passed away and left $350,000 for digital equity issues, so
no, I didn't, that's great.
that's something that I think that they are gonna be strongly considering.
Is Dresden part of the Patton Library?
No,
I don't think so, they have their own small library.
Mhm.
And then for school districts, they're in with Halldale and Monmouth of all places, so.
I'd be
No.
interested,
I know Elizabeth Manning from the from the Patent Library was on that Hub's call, and maybe it's worth us having a conversation with her to see what she's thinking. Maybe there's satellites that could come off of the library.
Yeah, it's definitely possible.
I'd be interested in reading that grant because, maybe we could do something with the rec center.
I will pass it right along to you.
Yeah, Marcy, can you send me a copy of that?
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Was this MCA?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a new program they started.
And I think that there's a video too. That's recorded for that. So that's, yeah, it wasn't great news to hear from Kendra Joe finally that half of what we want to do isn't an eligible use for the grant. Dresden is looking at doing a mailer to update their people because they're obviously a lot more thirsty for news and issues.
That's something that we could do too, I suppose, both with Catholic and rollers, but to me, it seems like sort of a waste of paper.
I think so too.
Postage.
You're saying to use the rest of your get ready money?
Not
The rest,
Dresden's,
$1,000
yeah,
or whatever.
Dresden's gonna do another mailer to kind of update everybody on what they're doing.
If you guys wanna help, like, write a press release or something, or give me something, I can post it on the town's Facebook page.
Yeah, sure.
On the website.
Hopefully we'll have more.
Yeah, I'm hoping that, I was gonna be quiet about it until we heard from Comcast, so that we could have a good news, bad news kind of message.
Right,
Bad news, we're not gonna get fiber all down all our streets yet, the good news is Comcast is gonna fill in all the holes. But we don't know, I saw the map, I met with them, I saw the map of what they plan to do with the reach me money. And they're gonna reach homes that don't have anything right now, which is an improvement, but they haven't signed this stupid contract yet, so we don't know if they're really gonna do it.
so that's the,
We have a lot of the grants, a lot of the things
Well,
that we wanted to them, so.
Do you guys want me to arrange a meeting, or do you wanna set up a meeting with MCA? Is
I
that
think
something?
I think the general feeling is to hell with them at this point. That's behind closed doors at our other group. Our county administrator is really not happy with them and doesn't see any future really being collaborative with them for the most part.
Well, I think we need to be,
That's the way I go.
yeah, I'm very frustrated with them too, and they've been not that helpful. Well,
The bigger problem-
they've given us a lot of inconsistent information that has kind of steered us down this.
Right, and that's the thing is like, everybody needs to raise more money so that we raise, top 10% of what anybody's raised for municipalities and for county governments, and nothing comes of it, so.
And we just did this massive full court press to get the town to agree to appropriate, $250,000 last year, and feels like a giant waste of time.
Puts all of us in a credibility gap also, I feel, we created this noise and we, finally got Bath to put money in it, and then, it's like, oh, never mind, and you feel like an idiot. In a year trying to drum up all the excitement, and everybody's like, okay, well, bye, it's really frustrating.
And we had, what, 350,000 or something with the county that we had in our proposal?
Total.
I think it has, in their defense, I think it has a lot to do with the fact that this is all federal money, because the Connect Main stuff was all state bond money,
Yeah,
and that was a lot easier to deal with,
Yeah,
and there was less strings, but still.
you're right, though, I think a lot of, the reason that a lot of these their minds seem to change a lot, I think, is because the guidance they're getting from the federal government is changing.
Yeah.
And that's the reason this project, doing the public hotspots versus doing the meeting room enhancements or whatever, that was, Kendra Joe was like, it took me 4 weeks to reply to you because I had to reach out to the funders of the grant program.
Well, but all that said, and I think we're all equally frustrated with MCA. I mean, I would like to encourage us to consider having a meeting with them. They should understand how disappointed the towns are as a, as a group. I think they need to.
I agree, Marcy, I think
They're
a
not
meeting,
serving.
yeah, a meeting where we just ask the question, what do you think we should do now? You know, what is their perspective?
I think, their job is to help us find a solution.
Yeah, you're right.
They have done very little to help us, when they put us in awkward positions. They gave us get ready money that was frankly, now looks like a waste of money to me. So anyway, I think we should ask them to help us find a solution. Just my one woman's opinion.
I mean, one of the things that I mean, Mark, if I'm accent really, when we did get the money, he was, when I called him and everything, and we were talking about it, he was wild. And one of the things he really put down very succinctly, I thought, he said, there's people's reputations that are on the line. And these people just don't realize that. Like, the people, like community leaders that are literally putting their reputations and their livelihoods out on the line for this stuff, and they're getting direction and stuff from the MCA, and then they change their minds. And he was very empathetic, to us, and because,
Yeah.
one of the things that we did was we did a lot of public meetings, and we went out and, we did surveys, and we communicated a lot. And so, as a town manager, I was out there telling people stuff, and then, we were kind of not promising, but we were basically telling them what we thought the best guidance was at the time. And then we got a rug pulled out under us, and so it was kind of like, and so, and then you think about it, Mark spends all this time putting this stuff together for us at no cost. I mean, I don't know if you paid for this, but he did this for us for nothing.
Oh, that's good.
We paid it.
We paid it.
We had the money
We paid it with a grant from Island
though,
Institute.
7,000 apiece, I think.
Well, I mean, I don't know how much time he spent here, but I mean, he spent a lot of time in Wayne, coming to our meetings and stuff.
Yeah, he spent a
So-
lot of time with it.
They didn't get any grants, did they?
Not this.
No.
Well, they've
Not
got quite
this
a
last
few,
group.
they've got quite a few that they're getting close to done on.
I think they're implementing Georgetown, right?
Yep, and Rouseck, and Washington, and Somerville, Leeds,
And Arousal, but not Woolwich.
no. Yeah,
Does this building have fiber?
Yeah,
I've asked this before.
I don't think it does.
I'm almost sure. it does.
From who?
It would be
I
either
don't think that's
LCI, it would probably be LCI, but
So LCI has
I know that they've
has
hooked up
some
the county.
retail wires running down
Yeah,
Route
it's
1.
happening.
For commercial stuff, yeah.
Coming
So,
off the main line there.
so the Woolwich Town Hall can get it?
Should be able to. Either them or GWI are consolidated. They'll do, anybody will do.
How do we find out?
Kathy,
Contact Simon, I think.
Kathy knows.
Simon?
Yeah.
Folks, Kathy or, Dennis might know. Who we're connected with. Oh, we have to pay them a bill
Yeah. Good
I
question.
can find out for phone providers.
yeah, and then I think the community center is still in the school
The schools have a special
and the library.
Yes,
Yeah,
network on libraries.
yeah, so like Dresden has consolidated and then it's paid for through the main state library.
So it's
school library.
consolidated, that runs the wire.
Yeah, I got that confirmed yesterday for the first time.
and fire stations get free cable.
Do they? Maybe that's why we get it for free.
Maybe that's it, because you're a fire station in a town.
Well, I told them, when I met with Comcast, I was
Not
like,
internet, not internet.
oh, not internet. Well, nobody uses cable. But linear TV anymore. Like you're saying.
I think this building has fiber. If it has fiber, it's through LCI.
I'm not sure of that.
Who's LCI?
That's Tidewater in Damerscott.
Time Warner?
Sorry, Tidewater.
Oh, Tidewater. Oh.
Yeah, Tidewater is their telephone company, but their fiber brand is LCI Fiber. So I know that they've got the county building hooked up, the planning commission is hooked up to them, and then I'm pretty sure the first down here, that bank.
They were one of the players that ate up 9X, right, when the baby doll broke out.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And Chewonki's hooked up, and I think, Chewonki is?
For the school library network, because they had a school, so I don't know if they're still eligible to.
The airport would be a good hub. And if Chewonki has fiber, then the airport. would be fine.
Well, we get it the same day everybody else does. But anyway, that's my mission for the next 2 weeks is figure out what we can spend the rest of the get ready funds for everybody else, and we're having a meeting with Boomer Tech. I'm kind of not interested in looking down the line of National Digital Equity Center, because Susan and company are very good at raising their own money, and they've raised plenty of money, but I don't really see as many living people.
Are you pretty certain that the check for that, whatever it is, has to be written before December
That's
31st?
what I've heard.
So,
Check or allocated, I'm not sure.
because
So,
I don't know, I don't know, I guess,
I mean, there's ways you can get around that if you have to write the check. I mean, depending on, you could write the check and just hold it.
yeah,
But
yeah. Yeah, we'll figure it out.
so we gotta figure, because otherwise, we gotta throw that money back, and why not just
Why not?
do classes or whatever, plus a meeting hour.
what about I really like the Wi-Fi hotspots that you were talking about.
Yeah, that was what Tommy was looking into, and
We had a couple vendors come to do it for Woolwich and got some great projects planned, and then Kendra Joe said, nope, can't do that. Too bad, because, we were like, wanted to make it so that people could park in the parking lot and do their Zoom classes or whatever,
yeah, or at least get
especially during power outages.
at least get their whatever done. So yeah, that's not with the get ready money, but definitely for any other funding that you find, we're definitely interested in doing.
I mean, it's
something.
not crazy expensive
No,
either.
it's not.
I mean, it's like, I think the project, a decent project for what we were gonna do is gonna be under $4,000, so
Do you have the pricing so I could see it, like at some point, like,
I could share the proposals with you if you want.
I just would like to see like what, a pricing scheme or whatever, so that I could get a concept.
Sure.
We're looking for a grant.
I don't know, it's not proprietary, right? It's some vendor proposal. Yeah, so we're gonna have to make a decision, all of us, within days.
I thought we were gonna do it today.
Yeah, we would. Well, we can say to Dennis that I think we're definitely okay with spending that funding on a new meeting owl and expansion mics, if that's what he's interested in on that end.
Oh, that's acceptable.
Yep,
Expansion?
they have some mics that, like, if you wanted for this setup here, you basically could move the meeting owl this way or whatever, and then put another mic on that table or over here or whatever.
What about, laptops and anything like that?
You wanna hear what I ran by, Kendra Jo?
Yep,
And she approved?
yes,
$1,200 for a meeting owl, $500 for 2 extension mics, $500 parts and labor for what we're not doing network wiring to the meeting room. $500 for a prosumer video camera and $200 for a tripod, $1,000 for a laptop and $500 for accessories. She agreed with me. Well, I know, so.
Tommy, to use towards what end?
Public accessibility of the meetings in the town.
Hmm,
So it makes hybrid meetings possible, like, we don't have, Wiscasset has mics and an owl already, and we don't even have that in Woolwich, so we can't do hybrid meetings, and we can't stream our meetings.
Beth
So,
does that.
but in order to do that, you need the minimum, you need an owl, you need a computer, you need mics, you need, ideally a Cat5 connection, not a Wi-Fi connection, so.
I was talking to 5, let's go to 7E.
Oh, is that the latest network wire?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
They'll tell you that it doesn't mean
I
anything,
don't
but.
know.
I like
Everybody
to
still
think
calls
that
it
if it runs
Cat5.
by a toaster, it won't get affected.
Anyway, so what I just rattled off there was, I think, total like 3,500 or 4,000 bucks.
Yeah,
Wow.
and then for our situation, we got half of that, so they're looking for an upgraded meeting owl and maybe another microphone.
They can't fix that one there
Takes what one?
Is that okay? That would work?
on the bench, the podium.
Oh, that thing? I don't know if anybody's interested in doing that, because there's all of this stuff, but like half the time when they're here, they're never actually talking into this at all.
What is that little camera used for?
I think it was supposed to do this, have another camera angle for this meeting, because there's another one right there, and then they just opted out of doing it like that, which is probably more stable than Zoom. You could do both, probably, you can do both.
Those are just basic cheap webcams.
Yeah,
What is that device?
just a speaker for the audience.
No, the one,
I need to go to another meeting, so I'm gonna sign off, but I certainly would be in favor if you guys wanna talk further about having some kind of a connection with MCA about helping us problem solve.
I agree.
Include Dresden.
Yeah, well, yeah, we could get Dresden involved too.
So let me know.
All right, sounds good, Marcy.
See you, Marcy.
I sent you that deck of the hub thing.
Thank you.
Okay, send it to you, Evan, as well. You could share it with
Yep.
whoever. Okay, see you soon.
See ya.
Bye.
The connectivity hub. Could we use that here, but also just use it for regular meetings? and
So the
things?
thing is that you can use it, you can use it wherever, it's gotta be for like workforce, digital equity, instruction, that like different training, that type of stuff, but the grants are for building, physical building, basically.
Oh, you have to build
That's what the grant money is for.
Like
is to
buildings,
put up a
like,
building.
like for
oh, it's not just like buying like.
lumber
fixtures,
and
TV.
concrete and crap?
Yep, for actually building
Oh.
something.
Oh, I was thinking it was just buying actual equipment. like-
Yeah, no, they want you to do that for 5 years, to staff it, fund it, and do all that, and then you. get
Heat
the
it,
building.
power it,
Yeah,
man it.
right. Physical things, actual buildings.
I mean, the rec center sounds like a great place to do this.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was
Just
just
that it
thinking,
already exists.
so
Can you build like a little annex or something?
what Dresden's interested in is they have, the fire station close at the Four Corners, whatever that is on Middle Road. If you go all the way up to Middle
Yeah,
Road, then
yeah,
you take
yeah.
the left.
Yeah.
They've got a fire station there, and then they've got another building, municipal building there that they use for their select board meetings, and they're not connected, so that was apparently something that Don's investigating, if they could use grant money from that to connect those two buildings and use that as a connectivity hub. And then they have a separate funding to fund something like that, so.
That's a
then it would just be a nice little area service, that's it, kind of a dead zone for everything.
But when you say like workforce, I mean, like if it doesn't, like, if we wanted to have training, like, it doesn't have to be like used every day or something, or like like,
No, I don't think it, yeah,
well, no, what I mean is, like, it doesn't have to be, like somebody staffing it regularly, like an employee dedicated to the program. You know, for example, you know, we can use like Robin as like maybe we can give her a title, like the connectivity hub coordinator, whatever, but if we needed to have one, but you know, if we wanted to have training for our employees, we could use it. You know, if our EMS department, you know, wants to do some sort of telehealth program or something for its, you know, residents or something, they can do it, you know.
yeah. I don't think that they would approve one for Wiscasset if I had to even
Really.
venture a guess. So under this this is on the slide deck that she was talking about, program priority is number one, areas with no or poor internet service availability. Facilities located in towns or census tracts with a high percentage of people who are unconnected or unserved. Gaps in community anchor institutions, so places that don't have many banks, libraries, schools, that type of thing.
Yeah,
Right.
doesn't sound like this.
It's basically Waldeboro or Dresden in Lincoln County, because the state came out with this,
Waldeboro? I mean, that's bigger than.
Maybe
Wisconsin.
Jefferson.
yeah, but they are that broke,
Broke?
yeah. It's just like, I'll show you on the map,
Waldeboro's broke?
more or less.
Why did they
So-
have their own fire department?
Well, they got a lot of stuff, but see on this map, so on the Connect the Ready cohort 2,
Red is broke?
more or less, they,
So is all the red.
the red are places that got basically, this gray bluish color and the reddish color are, two different digital equity indexes that the state devised for the last Connect the Ready round. And if you were red, then you had a lower, minimum commitment. If you want to do a municipal loan network, it dropped to whatever this time it was 700 if you lived in one of these red places. And then a digital equity index score is this blue color, so it means like populate, like high unemployment, under a certain income threshold for average household income, and I think lower high school graduation rates or something like that. It was like a combination of those three things. So the only other place
So what's that, red one there? What town is that?
right here,
Yeah,
this is Dresden, this is Waldeboro. And the reason why I don't bring up these two, so this is Washington and Knox County and Somerville and Lincoln County. These two are both being wired right now by a municipal loan thing through Axiom that was also funded by the state as well. So they don't even have real.
what's that light green, little big patch there
Where at? Here?
to the right, you know, right below, Somerville and, the blue, yeah, the big blotch there.
Right here?
So you're right.
Oh, right here. This is Waldeboro.
Oh, okay.
And then this is Warren. So one company's completely moved into Warren and is fibering them, so
So Warren has five.
these places drop right off the map, right? Yeah. By TDS, and they built it like all privately,
Oh, really?
and nobody even,
Warren's not in the county, right?
correct, they're in Knox
Yeah.
County. But same situation with Waldeboro, high unemployment, they ended up on that index.
I bet you it's because of the jail.
Maybe. It could be
Jail or Warren?
state prison.
Thought that was Thomas.
No, they moved it. But the driveway's in Cushing, fun fact, so. But anyway, that's where we're at, is for community thing, hubs is, connectivity hubs is, they want them to be in deserts. It seems to me that Dresden's the only applicable.
So you guys want to organize a meeting with MCA? To bitch.
You guys can, I'm not super keen on it, cause I feel like,
Who do they report to?
who,
I don't know.
MCA.
they're basically independent, so it goes basically just straight to the governor. Beyond that, if you wanted to get your, friendly fellow select board member slash state representative, all those agencies hate when state representatives email them officially, because then there's a paper trail that they have to reply to, and et cetera, et cetera.
Could do that.
Yeah. When it's just a select board member or a county administrator or something, it doesn't matter, but once there's a legislator that sends an official email, then they get real nervous.
Get Ed involved.
I wouldn't ask Ed for much, but that's just me.
You know, I think it's at the meeting too.
I should,
I know this is
maybe I'll
recorded.
talk to Eloise. Because
She's the more minded one on broadband.
she's done after next year, so she can do, she can,
Just ready to run the gamut,
she can push some
burn
buttons.
bridges.
Well, she won't burn her bridges, but she.
Or an NCA.
Yeah.
It's pretty up.
That's back to what you guys were saying, it's like, that's, like, I get that there's places that are in the middle of nowhere and everything else, but yeah, the communication sucks. Not just the lack thereof, but also like, oh, you guys gotta go raise money, like, oh, we raised money, now you did nothing.
When we wrote a letter to the board, the whole board, and,
MCA.
yeah. And that raised some eyebrows to like the staff. Cause they were, like, yeah,
And we raised $178,000 that the town voted on. I mean, that's.
we raised
We
$2
did some
million.
work in order to get that.
You did raise 2 million?
Yeah, we bond, you know, we
Yeah.
paid 50% of it.
I don't think we could do that.
Well, we had the cash in the bank to do it, but didn't have the political will. That's our biggest problem.
We barely had the political will, and that was the problem. And we just got it right across the finish line, and,
This is Wayne, right?
yeah, it was,
How big is that town?
it's only like 1,200 people, but during the summer, it gets up to like 36. Cause it's,
A lot of lake people. And now they're surrounded by Leeds and Fayette and Mount Vernon. Leeds and Fayette and Mount Vernon and Vienna, they all have fiber, and then to the east, Monmouth and Augusta and Ottawa are all opened up, so. Just like us, Wayne, Reedfield, Winthrop, in the Dresden, Wiscasset, Woolwich, dead triangle.
Yeah.
Where we're waiting to get sandwiched by somebody. All right, move
it
to
was funny,
adjourn.
because we met in a group like this for years, and those towns that got all the funding were the ones that were holding us up. We were like, you know, they were the ones not really interested, they were kind of dragging their feet.
I remember Reedfield was one of the ones that jumped out first, right?
No, these,
Oh,
Reedfield and Wayne were the ones that were gung ho. We
yeah,
were like leading the pack. But it was like Vienna and, Mount Vernon, Fayette, the ones that they kept on saying that they didn't have community support and all this bullshit, and it was so annoying, anyways.
all right, let's adjourn this.
Motion to
Well,
adjourn.
Seconded.
Always